I want to talk about how to maintain your culture and protect staff privacy when introducing any sort of location or time tracking system. So introducing any system that captures location or time data needs to be handled carefully. And that's because if you rush a new system into place without taking certain measures, you risk a lot of staff pushback, a very nervous workforce, and you may even end up in breach of data protection guidelines. So here's our 5 top tips for increasing adoption, settling nervousness, and protecting data. And don't worry about taking notes. You'll find all of these in our free Unverified Hours playbook. I'll leave a link with this video. So our first tip is to use badges and gateways, not phones and cameras. Okay, so of course you can get some sorts of location data by installing work apps on employees' mobile phones, but this has a huge list of challenges. For a start, most location tracking services on mobile phones are inaccurate, can be easily switched off, and staff don't like them. The biggest issue really is for most people that they don't like to feel tracked on their mobile phones. It doesn't matter whether you're only tracking them during working hours, they're very unlikely going to believe this, especially when this is a personal phone that they're taking home with them at the end of the day. So if you can avoid anything that makes a person feel watched, this includes CCTV, mobile phone apps, etc., then that's a good thing. Instead, we recommend using a system such as installing a handful of Sense gateways at your premises and then giving your team members a Sense badge or tag. Now, depending on the size of your location and what you want to achieve, you can use as few as 1 to 2 Sense gateways, which just plug into a regular socket, sit on the wall, and it helps you to create zones. Now, the Sense badge or the Sense tag then shows you where people are within these zones while they're at work. So no cameras, no microphones, and no need for them to feel like they're taking you home with them. Our second tip when implementing a new location or time tracking system is this: track defined workplace zones only. So make sure you're only tracking location in pre-approved workplace zones, such as entrances to buildings, break areas, production lines, workstations. You can get as granular as you like, whatever your business model requires. If you want to know how long a person spent standing in a particular square meter of space, then you can absolutely do that with the right combination of gateways. But the point here is that you should not be recording location data outside of work locations or outside of scheduled work shifts. Now, for some people who work on the road or on client sites, this can be slightly trickier. If clients don't want to install gateways at their premises, you may need to use a GPS-based tracking system, which is less accurate and may mean staff feel you're watching them even off shift. But you just need to balance this with what the benefit is of tracking their location when out on site. Are they working a role where they feel vulnerable and would prefer to know somebody could see where they were? Those are the sorts of questions you should be asking. The third tip for better culture and privacy is to maintain consistent GDPR audit logs. So if you're using Sense Workplace to track time or location, you can configure this so that every single read, alert, or manual override is timestamped and stored, giving you an immutable audit trail. And because you're storing this data securely in one of Sense Workplace's UK-based data centers, you'll be GDPR compliant, and you'll be protecting both you and your team members, for example, if attendance data is ever challenged, because you've got that audit trail. Our fourth tip is to control access and retention. So set up permission levels within your Sense Workplace system to limit which people can view location data. Now, for data protection purposes, you'll need to be able to justify why each person needs access to that data. Otherwise, you could be in breach of guidelines. And I'll just add to this that you should be making sure you're setting the data to be purged or at least anonymized after the retention period defined in your GDPR policy. Often this is 90 to 180 days, but it depends heavily on what you need to use the data for. If you're unclear, seek professional advice. And our final tip is to do with the correcting of unverified hours on timesheets. And that tip is to document your exception procedures. So what this means is that for cases where you're correcting, verifying, or manually overriding previously unverified hours within a timesheet, you should make sure you have a simple written process that you can refer to, telling you what steps to take. So the policy should explain how you handle missing reads, lost badges, last-minute shift changes. And the reason for this is every discrepancy has a traceable and legitimate fix that you can use and that you can point to if somebody questions why you took certain steps. And if you want to learn more about reducing unverified hours by using location tracking technology, you can get our free Unverified Hours playbook by clicking the link below. Thanks for watching.